In this video, we're going to be looking at how to use packages in R. Now, packages are very important because they're the way that you can extend the functionality, the procedures available in R. If you find that a particular statistical procedure that you want to carry out is not available in the default package, the default R system, then you can easily add an additional package to do that. Packages are essentially just collections of functions, and in some cases also data sets, which you can install and run. Now, the packages that you have installed are listed under the Packages tab here. Here you can see in the Mac version of RStudio here, you can see both the packages that get installed by default when you install the R package. That includes such things as stats here, which is the basic rstat package, and also things like plot, graphics I should say, and GR devices, and there's other ones. Also listed here will be packages that you've installed yourself. For example, I've installed packages such as AER and CAR and DIN and forecast and so on. Now, how do you install packages? Well, I'll come to that in a moment. Let's just have a look at what information is available. As you can see, there's a link here for each package, and if you click on the link, it'll take you to a help file. So let me go down here to one of my favorite packages, forecast. If I click on that, it brings up the standard help file for this package. They all have the same kind of format. It starts off with links to the documentation and then a listing of the functions and data sets that are available, each of which has its own help page, as we've seen before with functions in R, which describe how to use it and so on. Now, the description file which is included is just some very basic information which is not really of much interest, but it's something that has to be included. More useful are the user guides and what are called vignettes, which are available for each package. These usually consist of PDF files, which you can look at, which tell you something about the package. Some of them also include demo code, which you can run. Here, there's simply a PDF file. I won't look at that here, but it'll take you to a PDF which gives you some information about this particular package. And then, as I say, you have a listing, an alphabetical listing of all the functions available together and any data sets which are available. These have their own help page, just like the built-in functions in R. So, for example, you look at this one here. This is this particular function, rFEMA, which is available in this. In brackets, it tells you which package it's in. That has the standard help file, a description, usage, the arguments, details, value, and so on, what we've seen before. So every package will have a help file organized like this, so you can get any information that you want. Now, as I say, how do you install packages? Well, before you do that, of course, you have to find which packages are available. The best way to do that is to go to one of the CRAN mirrors where you are able to download the R package. We saw this, of course, in the very first video showing how to install R. If you go to one of the R CRAN mirrors around the world, there are many, of course, you'll see there are two links here down the side. First one, which is called Packages. That takes you to another page where you can see you can go to a list of all available packages sorted by name, or a listing sorted by date of publication. That's really not that useful because there are in fact a huge number. Unless you know the name of the package you're interested in, then this just is a very, very long list. As you can see, there are currently 12,379 available packages, and that's increasing all the time. The best way of finding useful packages is, in my view, is to go to the task views page here. Now, this has here the various packages have been grouped under headings of particular subjects or disciplines. So, and as you can see down here. Now, in my case, I am an economist. I'm interested particularly in the econometrics and the time series groupings here, the packages under that. So, for example, if you go to econometrics, here's what you get. You have some information at the top about who actually maintains this and this listing and this description, and then the various packages have been grouped under the headings of particular topics. This is very, very useful. It tells you which specific packages apply to specific procedures and so on. So it's a very good way of finding a particular package that you might be interested in. You'll see here, for example, that and notice there's links to a page about each package. So if I go to mlogit here, this provides functions for estimation of a multinomial logic model. Again, the standard information here, it tells you in particular which other packages it needs to run. And if you don't have those, when you install the package, as you'll see, it will install these as well. There's also some documentation here, reference manual. That's almost certainly available in the help file that we just looked at, together with these vignettes. So if you don't want to download them here, you'll get them once you've installed the package under the help file. So this is the best way to find packages. Now, how about installing them? Say we wanted to install this package mlogit here. Well, let's go back to our studio. Now, you can use a command, install.packages, if you wish, but I find that the easiest way of installing packages is to use the menu option here under the Tools menu, or alternatively click this button here. So if I go here to install packages, this brings up a box where you can type in the package name. It asks you if you want to install from a CRAN repository, leave it at that. It also asks you where you want to install it. Again, just leave it at the default. So if I start typing mlogit, the nice thing about this, as you'll see, is that it knows all the packages. So once you start typing, it narrows it down until you can see the one you want. So if I mlogit, now make sure you have installed dependencies so that it will install those other packages which it depends upon automatically. If I now click install, then as you can see, that in fact then runs that install packages command, and it also installs any packages which it depends upon, which are not already installed. If some of these dependencies were already installed from previous packages, then of course it won't install them again. And so that's installed mlogit. Now if we go to the packages tab again, you'll see that that now is available. There we go, which with its own help file, of course, and here, as I say, you'll find those PDFs that we saw under the on the website, so they'll be available here, together, of course, with descriptions of each function. Okay, so that's how to install packages. How about being able to use them? Well, to do that, you have to load the package into memory. Now, there are two ways you can do that. You can simply click the checkbox here alongside the package, and that will load it in to memory, and then the functions will then become available for use. The functions in the package here won't be available to use until you've loaded up the package. But it's probably best to use code, because if you set up an R source editor file and you want to then run that run all the code in there in one go, which you might want to do later on, having set it up previously. You don't want that code not to run because the package is not loaded. So you can include a code to do that. It's very easy. You simply use the command library and simply the name. So I'll load up mlogit here that we've just noticed, the shortcuts that you get there to make it easy. So if I run that, it will have loaded it up. Notice that it now has a tick against it. It loads the other package that it needs to run. There's also some other information here about citing this and so on, but that basically has loaded it. Now if I return to the package here and look at one of the functions here, for example, lr test, let's see if that one is now available. So if I start typing, and as you can see, once the package has been loaded in memory, the functions become available, and therefore become available via this nice shortcut, which this code completion shortcut, which RStudio provides. That once it recognizes the commands that you could be wanting, it lists them. In this case, there's only the one, so you can simply enter that and then put in the various arguments and so on. Okay, so that is how you load up packages and then make the functions within the package available. If you want to unload a package from memory, in general I don't see any particular reason why you need to do that, unless you're short on RAM and so on, which is unlikely. Then there are two ways you can do it. The first one, of course, is simply to uncheck the tick here, which will unload it from memory. And if I do that here, you'll see what happens. What that does is run this command here, and therefore the other way you could do it, obviously, is simply to use this command in your code. It's the detach command, so it's detach, then in brackets, and inverted commas, package, colon, name of the package, comma, unload equals true. That's the command you'd have to put in if you wanted to unload that within your code. As I say, I generally don't do that. I see no particular reason to do so, but that's available. Now there's one final thing I want to mention about packages. I mentioned earlier that quite a lot of packages have datasets available within them, which you might want to use, perhaps, for example, to learn more about how to use the functions in the package. Many of the examples code that's included in the package documentation will use some of the inbuilt datasets. Now, to load these datasets, you simply use the data command with the dataset name. So if I look back at, let's load up mlogit again, and I'll rerun this command, which loads it back into memory, and of course it's now ticked. If I look at the help file for it, you'll see that there are some data sets, I believe, in this package. Actually, I'm not sure if there are, so let me load up another package which I know definitely does have some data sets, and that's the AER package here. I'll not use the code here, I'll just use the tick. So that's loaded up AER and loaded up required other packages as well. Now if I look in here, there are quite a lot of data sets in here which I could use. Here's one on bond yields. Let's try that one. So if I simply type data, then the name of the package, And notice, because I've loaded up the package, it RStudio is now available of the datasets here, so it gives me a listing of possibilities. So that's a nice, again, useful shortcut. So if I enter that, it puts in the inverted commas for me as well. That will load up data if we that data set, and as you can see down here in the environment, it has loaded up. In fact, it's a time series variable. It just looks like it's one variable here, and it's a time series. So as you can see, you can also load in data sets that are available in the packages, which you can then use to analyze.